Greetings in Islam. Today we're gonna do some research into the place names and confusions that they constantly do. Obviously, how they erase your history or hide it. Got the Kingdom of Morocco. Now, the Kingdom of Morocco um, just means a kingdom of the land of Moors. Morocco meaning the land of Moors. And say it started from the Oyapock, which empties into the bay of the same name, which ends at Cape Orange. Its limit to the east reach Punta de Allende or the Primera Cruz, the first cross. Guinea's border with Brazil. It is likely that it lasted to Pernambuco. We're going to see that in a second. But pay attention to this architecture, what I believe is a Moorish American architecture. Looking around the world and different places in America, you see this a lot. And you see crosses on most of them now as churches. But may they see how architect experts follow history through architecture. You got linguistic experts who follow history through language. You got archaeologists. You got natural historians. They go through records. And I say a good historian probably got a little bit of knowledge in each of those categories of history. But like they say, should be somewhere in the desert or the Middle East. We're going to show you that over here. We got to understand the understanding of those times as climical maps instead of continental maps like you got these days. We got 7 continents, and we all know the world by the different continents. Asia, Africa, America, North America, South America, Europe. In those times, it was known mostly by climical. So all deserts would be Arabia, and all forests, deep forests, would be Congo and stuff like that. El Congo, which we can find all over South America, which we call naming practices. How things are named, why things are named as such, and the likes. So what we can see here, you can see the terms is readable. Like that is executor and another executor. And in this scene we can see a displacement of a Kashikwe, which the English later came around and translate to the word chief. In the Spanish, it was the Shekwe. We got Kashikwe right here. We got Shekwe. We got Sharife. We got sheriff. We got chief. All those words is similar. So we got the executors displacing the Shekwe, and we can see hard to read these, but I know we see prisoners. Down here, you got the adding of another Kashyyyk. So you replace one Kashyyyk off the throne and add another one. Coronation of another Kashyyyk. And you got Wasello del Cacique, vassals of the Sheik, killing two messengers. And we're gonna see later why that could be read. We can read that and the language that is, where it came from, why they're speaking that. And also we got the Isaac wheel, the executor of the Isaac wheel. So he is not the Isaac wheel, he's the executor of the Isaac wheel. So we can see in Madrid that the term Isaac wheel shows up. Alguazil. You see, they're dealing with Portugal and they're dealing with the service of Oran, which is in Morocco. But what they tell us is that the Spanish and Portuguese brought all these terms and stuff here. But we're going to see in the oldest books that we got still using those Andalusian, Latin, and Spanish terms. You see the Alguazil Guerrero dealing with Madrid. And the Almohads and the Sabines. You got Testigos. Don't forget on the side we got an island of Testigos. And searching for on Google Maps for Alguazil, it pops up. Well, I search for a particular Alguazil, Alguazil Pacheco, or Pacheco, and they give me General Pacheco, so they translate it for me. So I assume Alguazil means general. Or you can get an old Castilian Spanish dictionary, and most likely it'll be in there as general. But what's interesting, they take me to Uruguay when I search for that general, this particular general. And also, you can see in the book when you're talking about the government and the boundary of Louisiana, you talk about the Alguazil. And he also talk about the abogado, these titles that we don't even no longer use because we don't live in those times of Moorish ruling. You got the two alcaldes, the alcaldes of New Orleans. That's another title. That most likely mean the governor or mayor. And you see everything about admiralty. Everything is always about admiralty, even today. Admiralty and holy wars. But they hiding it using different terms. And look like they police the roads, they guard the levees, they keep a careful watch over coasters, travelers, and Negroes. And when they say that, that means they are home. The Alguazils who doing the gardening, the governing, the policing, and these so-called blacks, which is Spanish for blacks, and travelers, people who coming into town buying and selling. But all they're saying is all these Moors are running the city. That's why we see the police today in New Orleans with the crescent and star as they shield. They just took over the city. When you govern yourself, you better off governing yourself. You be the alcalde than somebody else coming in and governing you. Now you complaining because they beating you up. Police yourself like you used to do. Executor of the Alguazil. And this is Mexico Aztec. Pay attention to the way they dress too. We're gonna see that later in Andalus. So as we see in the beginning, Morocco. It came to Morocco from the oil pick from Cape Orange to Punta de Allende, our Primera, the first cross. Well, I guess from Cape Orange to Cabo Blanco is the Morocco region, Kingdom of Morocco. Before we get into other kingdoms, Madeira, Hierro, Gomera, which came later and exists at this time while Morocco exists. Now what we're going to see is the modern day leftovers. As we know from these last few videos that they push a lot of these terms like fez and stuff like that, Azamor, on the other side, Marruecos, Morocco, on the other side of the ocean, to hide the glow of mines, Rio de los Esclavos. We saw that on the map on the last video, on an older map. But eventually, all this gets moved around. Another interesting part is a Mogador in Ohio, I think. Let me check. Yeah. And when you read the sign, they're talking about Moors, talking about George Washington, and it's interesting. I mean, I remember the Emperor of Morocco, Sultan, was still in the head of the kingdom. At the time, the United States doing treaties with the Sultan. They're gonna make us believe they've been doing treaties with them. But the Barbary at that time and the Mediterranean at that time, in this area, the Mediterranean, the Great Lakes, all these lakes, this been the Mediterranean, and this been the Barbary at that time. After that, everything started to get pushed over here and reconstructed history. We know that by many reasons that you're going to be seeing in the future videos and stuff like that. And some things we know is in this, we can reconstruct this map right here and take it back to the pre-1492, because that's what this is, and after. This been still like this in 1600, like I say, 1780 1787 when we did treat even stole like this. And we know today Anglo Santana still there and Mazagao still there, so we can know what area we're in. I already did it, but we're gonna do it real quick. The two Mazagals still there, and the Anglo Santana still there. All of Santana today. And you got one Mazagal right there. Right there. Another one right there. The two Mazagals. So we know everything else had based off the stuff that they forgot to reconstruct. And all that in the region of Morocco. In this region we see. Just another look. The phase where he established in 1276. The city, the new city of Fez. The kingdom already existed. And we got New Granada right there instead of where ain't I bet in our history books right there down a little bit. But it already existed right there before Spain. Because a lot of people like to say New Kingdom of Granada and New Andalusia that we see on maps been brought here by the conquistadors, but what she tell you is that it existed before the conquistadors. So it's an American thing. Got Punta de Allende, we got the region of Morocco, we see the green. We got the Kingdom of Jamaica, and we got the Kingdom of Mecca, what we gonna talk about. And we got Mauritania, and we got the Kingdom of Sousse. We see the Cape Nom, the last Canarian, Kataski, we see Cartago. But what this map's showing is that while Marruecos, the Kingdom of Morocco, are over here, Algarve de Barbaria been over there. That's before Morocco get moved over here, and then many other places, Canary, which has been the overseas kingdoms. And that area today, that region, where we see the green, dark green part, we got terms like this. Just because it's not in our form that we know, Morocco, we let it confuse us. So I already did a lot of this already. We got the first cross Primera Cruz. We got the Cabo Orange, study today. They forget to move to the other side, the Cabo Blanco or the Cape White. And we got the islands of the Canarias. in these scenes. I think this is the first cross. Primera Cruz. And we still got the kingdom of Mecca, which is the whole kingdom of Mecca. All of this. We're gonna see how they to put a conquest over that area. But today we still can see Meta, which is really old maps. The way the language been written, that T will look like a C to them. They were so ignorant, they were just right because it looked like a T. It ended up being Meta instead of Mecca. See, a bunch of terms like this, when you go look up, they'll tell you that it means something. There's some Native American tribes that we can't go verify again. That's the main excuse when you see that. When you see them say anything about something that you can't verify, but they know, but you can't know. You can't figure that out, but they already got it figured out, as if they asked these tribes before they eradicate them all about their histories and their words, and they use these place names on their colonies to try to say that, which don't make no sense of you. They're supposed to be savage men with no language, one is it? Either they got a language and they understanding of commerce, trade, sea travel, land, merchants, documents. Or they don't, or they just running around the forest naked. So they shouldn't have place names. But this the excuse they're gonna give you when you find these terms like this. In the area that we know is the Barbary of the West, according to the records. The Barbary Coast. That's one of them. And another one, Barbary Coast. And in these places, you look like this. There's coral. Because they say this Morocco or Arabia, and you still would have believed me. But this coral in Venezuela. Another shot. And you can find this is, to them is a desert, but it could be a beach, a shoreline. And then you got stuff like this in South America. And you got Sao Tome, St. Thomas, which a lot of the so-called African American history, they will act like the island outside St. Thomas near Africa. That's where all the stories of St. Thomas happen at. No other St. Thomas in the world. But you probably can find like 5 or 6 of these in America. But none of that got nothing to do with no old books in the 14, 15, 1600s who got the word Sao Tome as the place of the event. Every time they see that, they put it in Africa on that island. Watch, you'll see later. And pay attention to this. You see the word capim. All it's Portuguese. Older and a more westernized Portuguese. We already see this, the Canaries. You see Bay, Berry Bay. When you look these up, they're going to tell you these are Native American terms that means irrelevant stuff. Like land after birds and stuff like that don't even make any sense. So we can see you got desert lands before you get to the green, all over the entire coast. You got shores, and they like very white sand. That's why you'll see terms like Cape White, the White Cape. So you see, everybody, we all know about the song Any Many Money More, the game we play. But they say they believe it's a sign Sao Tome, St. Thomas, and they only know one St. Thomas in the narrative, and that's the West African one. But over here we know the song a lot. So they make these assumptions, well, the narrative say that we got them from West Africa. They skin a certain complexion, we got them from West Africa. But this one island got a lot of history attached to it. It make more sense that a whole continent with this term showing up would have more historical reference and have more importance and significance than a damn island. We're gonna see that a lot. They put these place names on those little islands in the middle of the Atlantic on the east side when they baptized the place. So, like I say, a linguistic expert, he can figure out things, connections, stuff based off language formation, morphology. And they study the Spanish, and what they find is the Spanish and the Portuguese starting to be looked to them to be more older than the 1492, showing that the Spanish, that Spain and Andalus and all that has just been an extension of the West. And they start to find the East, so you find the Arabic and the Persian, but you also find the Punic and the Moorish Latin coming from the West. Like I was saying earlier, that area of the strait would always a very important thing to have. We know that from the Spanish, because that's the records we get. Being that they were the last to even get control of it. We know that from the Spanish and Portuguese, but if we go back, who controlled it before them, right? So we could follow everything we see the Spanish gain and go take that back into time and see who already controlling these things. So follow who met and go. You know, they tell us the 711 AD story of Moors from Morocco going to Spain and whatever. We can follow who met in the goal and see what the Spanish get, and we see what the Spanish doing and things they claim, and know that they claiming nothing but the same things that those Moors who came into the peninsula centuries earlier already had. You see Caribbean Spanish, you read these pages, you're gonna really realize that these people ain't been no wild Indians. They've been definitely in play with world commerce. And so a lot of documents with Spanish written like this all over the world, libraries written by people over here hands in the early days. Let them fool you. Reconstruct us to remake you wild Indians, so none of this apply to you. You don't believe that a wild Indian would sit down and write documents that don't fit the subconscious version of that story. So they break down the different version views on the peninsula of Spanish, and there's a reason why, because you deal with groups of Moors from different parts of the world. And they find stuff like this in America, and let's say Tangiers. There's an Andalusian type Spanish. Santo Domingo. And that's how they break it down. Look, people who study language got a good grasp of history. So they got the Castellano Spanish, the Andalus Spanish, the Canario, and they know what is connected based off documents. And you see, they know about the Ghanas, and they know about the Americas, but they know the Ghanas. They even had finding some people speaking certain Spanish versions, and that could have come from this side. We know that the head of the kingdom of Morocco been on this side, so they've been setting up bases on this side and dealing with control of this area, the Straits. And Moors from this side, I want control of the Straits, they all been in Andalusia. That would make Andalusia one of the most civilized, quote unquote, advancement of humanity with knowledge and sciences, because they've been different Moors from everywhere bringing the sciences. But to control the world trade, you need the Straits. All these control American products coming in, which was a lot of gold. So we follow the gold mints. We see when certain people start, certain nations start minting gold, we know that they get some kind of ports over here, they get some kind of estates over here to be able to ship that gold in safety. Like we seen in the last video with Mecca. They couldn't operate on their own no more after they get vassal to Manuel the First. Showing that they've been operating before him, selling, getting their products out without being robbed and molested. That's what the treaty been for. A lot of us in North America couldn't sell just in the islands or to another part of America without running to certain pirates and stuff. So we needed treaties. You got Islano Spanish when they're talking about descendants of Canary Islanders who settled in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana in the 18th century. But what they don't get is, what we're going to see later, is Canary Islanders over here and some in the Levant and Poniente. And this is an easier travel than this travel to this. This is a much easier travel. So Wikipedia always going to conflate things for you. And watch we will get into Canaries later and show you the conflation. So they talk about Castilian Latin. You see Castellano and Espanol. And what it's trying to show is that they influence all these people to speak that language that is much older than they tell it in reverse. They even say complex history. Because what we know it ain't complex if we know we can revert, if you tell it in reverse that the Latin and the language came from over here, being that the Punic Wars and the Rome and the so-called Carthaginians speaking the Latin already existed here before BC. If that's the case, then it don't make sense that 711 the Moors coming over there would be speaking Punic Latin or just different kind of Latin that we associate with Rome. You see Basque, Iberian, Celtic, Iberian, and Visigothic. France, New France been here. And we also got Sardinia, which became Rome, Italy, the island of Sardinia. Which came under the jurisdiction of Rome. And we get, you see, as well as the Quechua and the Natu, the two most main languages, which is another version. That's why they put that in it, and other indigenous languages. You just call it a Spanish language because the term Spain is what we know from Rome. They consolidated, but actually this is a Latinum. It's an empire that's been around. To summarize everything, they've been around for a long time and got its own story. We're looking at everything from Spain idea and Rome, but that's where they connected at. The influences and everything. So you see this area right there. It's in question. We're about to look at this. When you go in Zulia, they wrap all the places around in Zulia that the story consists of, so they can talk about it on the other side. You can see Gaitres. You're looking at the stories. Some more visuals. We see the merchant. All this is important when we see how Wikipedia talk about certain stories. You see, this all this in the new so-called New World maps and drawings. You see the merchant. We got the fisherman. We got the merchant selling the ivory. We got the cattle herders and the merchant. You got stuff you probably going to travel, sail. We got the seamen, the sailors. And you read these stories gonna talk about all these things. But they're gonna use the terms like Moors and Barbary, and that's how you throw you off. And this one, you can see in the French, they say the motto is Alata la trate de la come. Moors trading merchants. See, you got the cattle, you got the camel. They'll tell us this is a llama. But they got hairy just like this one, the hairy camel. This one they call Moor, so it's supposed to be somewhere else, even though we got the palm tree or whatever. It don't really matter what side, because both sides are really the same thing going on. That's why the place names get mixed up easily. The same people on both sides, really, based off how long they've been going back and forth. You see the ship, they always put the ship in the thing dealing with Moors. You're always gonna see that red flag. Always. Like this. Got the red Cape gang. Keep an eye on the red Cape gang and the red flag. And then we look at the flag in the last video. Got the Star of Chris on top of them. See, governing. You see, you got two captured Moors, but that's governing. That's what we call the Alcaides and the Alcuzals. Governing the thing. How they depict you at Rome. But the Knight Templars already had what the depictions of Americans, Moors, because they had gold. We look at the Templars and they had gold on their shield and everything. That means they had found a place, America, before 1492 too. That's why they get persecuted. So they would literally, after a battle, and they make you scatter out a certain port or fort, or they take that fort for their business on the land and try to make the Wikinos or the neighbors capitulate to them, because they couldn't, even if they took a fort, they still had need the products to come through the fort. So they had to work with the neighbors. They would have plant a cross in the ground as a boundary stone for legal purposes. Border and a boundary for legal claims, so-called legal, quasi-legal. They've been doing all kind of stuff that basically treachery. But we're gonna talk about him in a second. So we got the Allende and next to the rescue, and that's where they would have planted the cross, and the first cross, the Primera Cruz. But they don't want to talk about all that on this course. That's why here is the depiction. They say this on the Wikipedia, got this on the Canary Islands. But you can see that's a coastline. So we got Kush, Peru. They call them Cusho on us in the Latin, in the Rome. Il Cusho. 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 But they're just saying the Kush. It'll be Al Kus in Arabic. But you catch them at Rome, they would give away the goods. You see, it's this whole city. And they ain't even claiming the bullet. They claimed to discovered it. You see the king. Ataliba, king of the Moors of the West, the Poniente. If the other one is king of the Moors of the East. They damn sure and dress alike. And like you see, the Santa Cruz do Capibaribe. Baribe. So we see earlier different places with the term Capi. And I believe is the Latin for head. And we already know Baribe. Baribe. That's an old Western type, Portuguese type version of Barbie, Barbaria, land of Moors, Berbers. So we're gonna say this is the Holy Cross of the head of the Barbary, because we know that's the head of the Barbary location. But when you go look this up again, this is a Tupi, native Tupi tribe name that means the Capibari River, which is an animal that is a guinea, a guinea pig, right? So they're gonna name animals after these terms to throw you off. Plants, stuff like that. But we know capit, Capit in Latin is head. And it wouldn't be the Holy Cross of the guinea pigs. That would make no sense. Say the Holy Cross of the head of the Barbary. We know the Portuguese went through our Moors for these ports in history. they know that. So when you look at this, that's where they say they plant their crosses at. And the reason why, because the governor of Santa Cruz de Tenerife went on expedition in Barbary versus Moors. So it's so close, these islands so close to what they think is the only Barbary. They put everything here. So you see Mar Pequena, the little sea. And we got the Senegal. And we got the Barbary all around this area. We got La Palmas off the Gran Canaria, at the same Santa Cruz, the Holy Cross of the Tenerife. And you got on this side, you got the Santa Cruz, what we believe is the Mar Pequena, which is the Caribbean today. You got another Santa Cruz right there. You got coral, like we see earlier, that look like desert lands. So basically the same thing. You got all the Santa Cruz Islands next to a Barbary. You got the Santa Cruz Islands next to a Barbary, which we saw earlier, Zulia, got Ceuta and Gibraltar, and even more Santa Cruz. They got Santa Cruz de Mara, which I believe is the tower of Santa Cruz de Mar Pequena, the real one. You got Santa Cruz. In the stories they talk about Campo Mar, or Campo Santa Cruz de Mar. So we see that here too, with it, and then another Santa Cruz just to add insult to injury. Now you see the Ponche civilization has been described for 300 AD onward around the year 1000 migration from the Caribbean coast to Colombia. After the Spanish conquest and installation, now you see the Spanish dealing with the Ponches people of the new kingdom of Granada. The Ponche quickly diminished due to the resistance against the Spanish. So that's everybody's story. They eradicate these people so you can't go back and see the real. That's what they could tell you. Because the people who they now, they bring them from Africa or some shit. The first Spanish conquerors who invaded the Ponche territories were Juan de Cepedes and Alonso de San Martin. And they've been burning his story, they've been burning books and shit. So later conquest was performed by Hernan Venegas Carrillo. And they talk about the artifacts, and they got a lot of gold. And these people weigh a lot of gold. It's like us in North America. So don't forget, they talk about a lot of people in New Orleans coming from Canaries, right? And then to show you where the Ponches be, it's the land of the Ponches right here, the Santa Cruz, was supposed to be Canaries. You see the Ponche territory, the area right there with Gibraltar and Zulia. So you have to come in here. If you're Spain, you have to come in here and get deep in there, boom, through these streets of Gibraltar, boom. And now you can deal with the mountains of the Barbary. It's like on the other side, the Atlas, the Moors of the mountain. They got over here on the maps, they got Braca Moros, which is the mountain Moors. On maps over here. Some say Paca Moros, some say Braca Moros. You come from the Santa Cruz, or the islands, or the Canaries, into a Barbary on expeditions. But they ain't gonna tell you like that. They're gonna tell you they just come over here and eradicate everybody by disease and technology, and then bring Africans in over here after that. That's what they're gonna say. So we see the Banche people. They don't know. They don't act like they don't know nothing. Their language is unclassified, possibly unclassifiable. But linguistic people know that they speak in old Spanish for a reason. Banche, you see, that's how crazy it is. They ain't really changed the shit up that much. Say Pedro Fernandez de Lugo, the second adelante of the Canary Islands and the governor of Tenerife and La Palma. A title confirmed again by Charles I of Spain in Barcelona, you see, at August 17, 1509. Now we think about this. Spain is supposedly not find a great new world. So why would they care about those little islands over there? If they find all the gold, all the resources, they find a whole continent that they claiming, that they discover. So wouldn't it be stories of them setting up shop, governance, and stuff like that? So if these ain't the story, why would they highlight a lot of these? Some of these pages ain't even got English versions of the page. They have to get the Spanish version. We'll see that. So after 1492, it would make sense that by 1519, you should be setting up governments and shit over here. So Pedro Fernandez de Lugo was the son of Alonso Fernandez de Lugo, born in Seville. Pedro arrived at Gran Canaria as a young child and later accompanied his father to expedition to Barbary. In 1509, his father gave him some of the rights and power over the coast of Africa that he acquired in 1499. So that's 1492, 1499. We still dealing with one thing. Pedro commanded the Tower of Santa Cruz de Marpequena and participated in expeditions against the Berbers alongside the Portuguese. So that's what let's make sense of this. So what I'm saying is the Tower of Santa Cruz right there. So he come to North Africa just after they just so-called discover America, but they call it Africa. And his father came to Gran Canaria, which I believe was Colombia, and went on expeditions in Barbary, which is at any time, any place of Moors that they ain't registered yet, ain't become Peru and Colombia and all that yet. It's just Barbary to them. But Santa Cruz is their first Holy Cross, so they already got a cross, right? 1492, they already get the cross and register these. And now they ready to get into some more parts of what else in here. But they don't even know. They just up in the islands in these areas already. They're ready to come down into Barbary. Or they're going to say, or we can believe that after 1492 finding that continent, now they decide to come to these little islands and do what they say. After 1492, they come in here and they go on an expedition on this land over here to the Barbary, to the so-called Berbers. So I believe that's the Hollywood version of that story that we get, that they give us in Hollywood. The hide your history. Expeditions in Africa, because you know I realized in 1519 they still ain't calling that in America. They ain't using the Vespucci story, none of that. They don't know nothing about that, so they gotta have a name for it. But the Wikipedia page seen that they saying terms like Africa, and they assuming it, and boom, already put the story assuming that it's happening on the other side. So we could continue with the next one and deal with some more of these stories. And show you how the Santa Cruz de Mara that we see, the Star Fort, how the towers that we find it in these places that ain't nobody know we come from. There's a lot of lost history that you can get back by looking at stuff like this and putting it in the right place. And I'm telling you, a lot of these pages written as if they know. But you can't be that dumb. So you see you in the next one.